Hello there, I'm Andrew Joseph Keith, and in this video I want to show you guys how I made this little hand armature, and this little tool can be used as a reference for drawing hands. Let's get into it. Here's what you'll need. Some aluminum wire. I'm using a soft aluminum wire that's about 12 gauge or 2 millimeters thick. I'll be making this about half-life size. You can use thicker wire for larger hands or thinner wire for smaller hands. You want a pair of pliers with wire cutters and some clay to build out the forms. I'm using Chavant NSP medium clay, which is a non-dry modeling clay so that it remains malleable and posable over time. A cheaper non-dry modeling clay will also work fine. Step 1. Cut the wires. Start by cutting 5 lengths of wire. For this half-life size armature, I'm going to measure from about the tip of my fingers to the middle part of my forearm, or about 10 inches or 25 centimeters. So measure those and cut them. Step number 2, connect the wires. Now we can bend the wires together. We want to make sure that we have enough room for the fingers, so we'll start twisting them together about halfway down the wire. I like to take 2 of the wires and twist them tightly together for about half an inch or a couple of centimeters, and then do the same thing with another 2 of the wires. Then take one of the ends of the first set and twist it together with one of the ends from the second set, and then do the same thing with the other ends. You can repeat this pattern down the forearm to get a good connection. Then with the last piece of wire, wrap it tightly around the other 4 sections of wire, starting at the middle area of the twisted section and working your way up the forearm towards the wrist. Usually this 5th piece of wire will represent the thumb, so it's okay if it's a little bit shorter than the other pieces of wire. Now what we should have are 5 strands of wire coming together at what will be the wrist and twisted down the forearm. Try to situate the tallest wire where the middle finger will be. Take some time to arrange and spread the wires out to make it look more like a hand. Step 3, measuring the length of the fingers. You can do this by closing one eye and then holding the wire armature in front of your hand, and that way you can look through the wire armature at your own hand to make sure that the measurements are accurate. You can move your hand forward and backwards, or the armature forward and back, until your wrist aligns with the wrist of the armature, placing the part of the armature where the wires spread out at the middle of your wrist, as well as your middle finger with the middle finger of the armature. This technique, where you hold your sculpture directly up to the reference and look through your sculpture at the reference, is what I like to call the sculptor's cheat sheet. We'll be using it throughout the process. Now bend out the wires so they align better with your fingers and thumb. Some of the wire for the fingers or thumb may be too long, so you can take your pliers with wire cutters and trim off the excess wire. I'm also going to use those pliers to bend the wires in the forearm back up and push them in so they don't get in the way as I'm moving the sculpture around. Step 4, add clay to the wire frame. Using the clay, let's make some of the prominent forms of the hand and forearm. With small sections of clay, cover the wires of the forearm. The wrist is a bony, boxy area. So I'm going to take pieces of clay and make a boxy shape that's wider from side to side than it is tall. Next, take a thin strip of clay and add it along the palm on the inside of the palm. This will represent this padded area where the fingers begin. Notice that there's a curve or a rhythm to the placement of the knuckles. It's kind of this arch that peaks at the middle finger and then tapers down towards the pinky. This is true from this front view, as well as when you look at the hand from above, there's a slight curve that makes the inside of the hand concave and the back of the hand convex. Add some clay on the back of the hand as well to make sure that there's a good attachment. So here's what it looks like once we've added those rhythms. Notice that there's a decent amount of separation between the fingers. A common error in drawing and sculpting is to remove the separation between the fingers, which makes them look unnatural. The fingers also taper inward slightly. Now let's move on to the 3 basic muscle masses of the palm of the hand. I'm going to start with the muscle on the inside of the palm of the hand below the pinky. This is a long, thin, teardrop-shaped muscle mass. After forming this muscle mass, place it onto the wire of the pinky just below the strip that we added previously. A larger muscle mass of the hand is at the base of the thumb, which is called the thenar eminence. This is a large drumstick-shaped muscle. We can sculpt this by shaping a large chunk of clay into a teardrop shape and then smashing it flat. Then pressing that onto the wire of the thumb, angled in towards the middle of the wrist. I also add a small mass of clay around the armature at the top of this mass to hold it in place and to represent the first large knuckle of the thumb. And the last muscle mass is an even smaller teardrop shape on the back of the hand, between the thumb and pointer finger. Use the sculptor's cheat sheet to check the size of these muscles compared to your own hand. I'm going to add some more clay on the inside of the palm below the fingers by pressing out a flat oval-shaped piece of clay. The thenar eminence needed a little bit more thickness, so I'll add some more clay to that as well. The wrist also needs some cleaning up, so I took some more clay and added it to the boxy form of the wrist. Here's what it should look like. Step 5, adding knuckles. Now let's add some clay to the joints to represent the knuckles and phalanges. Generally, the large knuckle of the middle finger will be halfway between the wrist and the tip of the middle finger. So divide this in two, you get that first knuckle, then divide the middle finger in half again, you get the next knuckle, divide this top section again, and you get about where the last knuckle is. Divide that again, and you get where the fingernail is. This halves method will get you pretty close to where the knuckles are, but it might vary a little bit. Sometimes it helps to find the knuckles on the middle finger and then follow the rhythms that go along with the lengths of the fingers to locate the other knuckles. Whenever you get lost or if something looks off, hold it back up to your hand and double check the measurements. It should look like this. Once you have these forms in place, you can pose the hand. Having this wire armature with the correct measurements and proportions can be a great asset to check your work for these types of assignments, or for inventing creative poses to draw. If you only have one image, but you pose your hand armature correctly from that reference, then you can get a better sense of how that hand exists in space from any angle. And there you have it, your very own wire hand mannequin to help assist you in your drawing studies. Whether you're practicing hand gestures or studying the anatomy of the hand, having a physical reference like this can be incredibly helpful. There is definitely a difference between drawing something from a 2D image on a screen and drawing using an actual 3D object in space. Now you might be thinking, well, I've gone this far, I might as well just keep going, adding more pieces of clay and sculpt the hand. And that's an excellent point. All right, give this wire hand armature a try and let us know how it goes. Don't forget to share your creations. Thanks for watching, and remember, sculpting takes drawing to a whole new dimension, the third dimension. All right, stay creative, stay productive. Hopefully, we'll see you again soon.